Right, I've drilled quite a number of holes in here using, well, a 3mm, then a step drill, just in an area around here. I plan to put a probably 140mm fan in here, so it'll be bigger than this. But this is just to let air into this fan, because I think it's not getting enough air in. It's about 5mm gap between this and the base. I've also changed this buck converter that I had. Yeah, I do have. So here's a buck converter. I've got the top and bottom of it that I was using. This is an automotive 124 to 12 volts, 30 amps, but gets quite hot, so that's adding heat to the unit. I did have a 25mm fan on this actually, that I hacked into the 12 volt side myself. You might see some of the wires there still in there, because it was getting that hot, and I drilled the holes in to try and get airflow. So because it gets really hot, too hot for my liking. It's adding heat to this unit. But I think this buck converter 24, well, I've adjusted it to 12 volts. You can adjust them. It knocks down the voltage, and I've got 12 volts coming out there. I've also added this, you might just see there, yeah, green LED. That's on this fan. So when the fan powers on, this green LED will come on. Now I was hoping that I might have had, I couldn't remember, I think because I did have a 3-wire lark fan on this, but that was too noisy. So I fitted this 80mm fan, and with a 3-wire one I might have been able to do like what they call tachometer. Get a different, put the yellow wire on, which is signal wire, going through the LED, which has, well, 1k resistor and a 480k resistor, I think it is. So 1500k you want resistor for 12 volts. Well, if it's green like mine is. If it's red, then it might be different because of the different voltages, I think. But you can experiment with that. Just depends a bit how bright you want it. Or with a 3-wire one, I might have been able to get it dim because it might have been like pulse width coming over the signal wire, going to earth, going through this, so it would dim. And then I know that would definitely be turning. All this tells me is if the power's on. It doesn't really tell me that's turning. I have to assume that's turning when the power's on. Using this method, it's in parallel with the 12 volt system. I have to remember to plug this display back in, otherwise I'll be wondering what's going on. Do that just now. These are alright, but really they are for cars or lorries, I think. So you can put them on the chassis and sink the heat, and with them driving about they'll get quite a lot of airflow. Not where rain's going to splash because they're not water protected. But they get really hot, very hot. Anyway, I'm hoping this one won't get so hot, no heat sinks on it. I do have one of these on my, these lights. That's one powering these off, 12 volts. Like a ring light thing to go on my camera. I'm using a mobile phone at the moment. Right, so I'm going to put this back in and I'm going to do a temperature test. I'm going to stick this thermometer on here. There's a chip under, like bolted on here, that gets really hot. So that's a hot part, one of the hotter parts of this power supply unit, Meanwell power supply unit. I'll put some details here. Right, get this plumbed in back together with the thermostat on, or thermocouple, whatever it is, going to my VC PC99 and do a temperature test. Well, I'm just doing some feeding of the filament, because my filament keeps snapping. You know, even if you're not using it, it snaps. You go away, go to bed, in the morning you find out it's snapped, hasn't been used. people say it's moisture. Well, I have this box down here which has some desiccant type things in. I am going to be working on this to put a heater in as well, but I don't think that'll do any good because I've tried heating the filament in a biscuit tin for about 12 hours at 50 degrees and it still snaps. This looks quite yellowy to me, this light, or very light green. Might look green on the thing, so that's telling me that the fan's on. The PSU fan. So I'm just doing 50 at a time here, trying to get the filament to come out the end of the nozzle. Well, not the end of the boarding tube. I've disconnected the boarding tube from the nozzle actually. Just to see if we can see it feeding ever. So we can see, well, we can tell that the fan is getting power now. This is my LED lights. Just a row of LED lights sort of on a tape on the top section. 2020. So the light's gone out, so the fan's gone off. That's good. So it is sort of turning on, and it does turn on and off. It doesn't have pulse width modulation. It's just either on when it gets to a certain temperature and off when it's cooled down. And it's on, what are we on? We're on 35. Can you see that? No. So we're at 35 there. Minimum temperature 28. That's about the same as the other day. So I've got maximum on, and I've got it turned not to go off, so to speak. You can do that on this Vichy VC99. Quite a good multimeter for a hobbyist, if you ask my opinion. Useful. It's either Vichy VC99 or VC99, both the same so far as I understand it. So you can see that 35 degrees. And the fan's off, or the power of the fan's off, I should say, technically speaking. At least this LED, which is super glued in a bit, just a few drops of super glue, and I put it in 5mm green. Like parallel, connected parallelly to the PSU big 80mm fan that I fitted. And it's stopped, so let's feed another 50. Sometimes I feel like saying feed 5 million or whatever. Sometimes I've noticed this feeding thing on here, sometimes it'll turn fast, quite quick, and sometimes, but most of the time it turns very slowly. If you're doing refuel or what have you. And I don't know why, there doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason that I've found to that. I think it tends to be if the machine's been off quite a bit and then you turn it on, then it might, the first time you go to use it, it might move like fast if you go to use the extrusion settings, feeding or what have you, refuel. Still no filament that's seen at the end of the board. I believe that the Meanwell will cut out at 55 if it gets to 55 to save it from burning out. Don't quote me on that 55, but it's round about that, I think. If it does that during the print, well, you lose your print probably. So it's very hard to see sometimes when you've got this big section of beam in a way. You know, if you want to look down at the nozzle, you have to do it at this extreme angle like this, or below that beam. Just doesn't give much space, so just load it a bit more. minus 2.30. I think that will stop. This is the thing I was on about. I think this was moving actually in this tie wrap. This is to lift the conjoint out the way, because it does rub against this beam. I might put one on the back as well. I think I will raise it up at the back as well. So look, still 40. You can do that at 230. Mine 230. I just say 230 usually. Oh, yeah. Well, this is on max min, so let's have a look at the min again. 28, that's the ambient temperature, and the max it's gone to is 40. I'll put this on time now. Well, it's finished the print, and the maximum it's got to is 41. 28, sort of default starting temperature, ambient temperature, something, 41. So that has made a massive improvement. Fan's still on. It's on 41. Well, the printer's off, the temperature is 0, so it's not like doing a lot of work at the moment. Let's do finished print. To be honest, I haven't been watching this, so I don't know how, to be honest, I don't know how long it's been. It's gone off now. So the fan has gone out, so it's not too bad. Well, the fan's gone off. It's like LED's gone out. I was worried there that the fan wasn't good. The fan didn't turn off there. I think I will look to possibly getting a bit bigger fan. I don't know. Well, 41. It was getting to about 48. So putting those holes in the bottom has made 8 degrees of difference. 8 degrees. That's quite a lot in this case.